you're going to be in a co-working space. You're going to have a bunch of adults that have their own businesses, and you're going to have to figure out ways to make them hang out with each other and like share their business.
All right, welcome to another episode of Connections That Matter, where we talk to the best Northern Colorado businesses and how they network and build connections to help them be successful. Today, I have Jessie Rule in the studio. Welcome, Jessie. Welcome to the podcast. And this is my first ever Connections That Matter where we have a multi-panel guest. So introduce your guest with us.
This is Paisley.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you know Jessie, you know about Paisley. I see your whole team on the desk chair, like recommended workers and all that good stuff. Oh, look at that smile. Look at that.
She's distracting.
Well, Jessie, if somebody hasn't been to an event at the Cleveland Room or on the awesome rooftop or something that you've helped coordinate, tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 2 event spaces that are located inside of a 4-story co-working space in downtown Loveland. And we really do anything, whether that is a wedding, corporate function, training sessions, retirement parties, birthday parties. I mean, honestly, any kind of event you can have, we can really do it. Our rooftop, I would say, is more of like the fun, flashy entertainment. And then the Cleveland Room is a little bit more corporate because we have a 16-foot by 9-foot screen that's perfect for presentations and things like that. So, yeah.
Well, awesome. And you have a lot of different things that come through. Each of them has a different vision.
Yeah.
Talk to me how you transform a space with a vision for an event and make that come to life.
Yeah. So my background is actually weddings. And weddings are probably going to be the most complicated with the most vendors, all of the elements that you really are transforming, fields into events. And so I think I always have, because of that, maybe have been able to, take that skill set and what I've had to do in organizing those and like simplify it, I guess, with the event spaces. So I really get down to details with the nitty gritty of like, is your mom braiding something? Is it, are you the one coming to set up? Is it staff coming to set up? How many vendors are you going to have? Who are we partnering with? And then after they book with us, I actually just take that piece from them and then I connect with their vendors directly. Or I should say my employee, Katie, does that as well. And, we really kind of simplify it for them where they don't have to deal with those details anymore and kind of give them more of like a hospitality experience.
Yeah. So if you're managing a space and you talk about the different vendors, people bring in their own different teams, how do you coordinate with the different industries to make sure that the event goes flawlessly?
Yeah. So they, of course, give us, who they've already booked. Or some people, aren't even from the area. And they're like, Jessie, do you know a good catering company? Do you know a florist? Whatever that looks like. And based on our experience with the people that we worked with, there's people that we don't necessarily want to recommend. And then there's ones that we're like, we know they're going to give you the best experience. They're going to dive right in and we, pass along that information. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how does someone get on your list? And for the people that if I had to ask you for a photographer or a caterer of some kind, the person who comes out of your mouth first, or maybe you give me a short list of 3 or so. How do you cultivate those relationships?
I would say that we work with them at least 2 to 3 times first to make sure that it wasn't just a really good day for them.
Sure.
And then from that, we kind of have a little running list that we update periodically to make sure that we're all kind of communicating the same things and keep that list going. And I mean, I can certainly sit here and list the ones that I know off the top of my head. We always work with Fresh Plate Catering in Loveland. Yeah. We really like Door 222. We like Sandoz, which is the restaurant directly in our co-working space, which really makes it a one-stop shop because then they get everything in the building.
Sure.
DJ Brian Howe is the best
shout
around.
Out DJ Brian Howe.
And then photographers is actually a really interesting vendor because you have to like a certain style.
Sure.
So, that one comes with more questions of like, do you like dark photos? Do you like them to be light and airy? Do you want it to be, a little bit more traditional photography? Do you want it to be candids? So there's a lot more that goes into that. But yeah, there's a lot of good photographers in the area. And then really, too, that one is more specific on budget.
Yeah.
Because photographers have gone up a lot. Sure. I think almost you put the wedding price tag on there and then it adds zeros. Sure. So, yeah.
Well, let's talk about the co-working space because it's the world headquarters of business networking done right. I'm a resident of the second floor. But you've really built a community through there, people who are doing a whole bunch of different things. Talk to me about that and the vision for Desk Chair and what you're doing with those spaces.
Yeah. So, like I said, I came from the wedding industry. And to make a long story short, the CFO's daughter and I went to high school together. And so she used to have a florist business, and we worked a couple of weddings together one summer. And she was like, hey, I just started working on this project with my mom in downtown Loveland. It's going to be a co-working space. Of course, I didn't know what co-working is, so she had to give me a little, background on that. And she was like, would you ever be interested in running a venue? And for the people that, go to school for hotel management like I did, and, you're kind of deciding what you want to do in the event industry, it's almost like a dream to work in a venue because it makes things a little bit easier. You don't have to travel as much. And, it's like a good income coming in,
Sure.
monthly. You're not like chasing the business. So of course I was like, yeah, sure, let's see it. So one night we went and grabbed some beers, and she took me to the space, and it was when it was fully under construction. It actually took 7 years for the project to finish. And when she took me in, we literally put hard hats on and we're climbing on ladders. And like I said, it's 4 stories. So it was like, we were just like maneuvering through the building. And at that time, too, the event space was going to be on the 3rd floor connected to the rooftop. So the spaces were going to connect. And that's actually what it was for the first 6 months that we opened. Anywho, again, long story short, I took the job. Jim and I worked in this tiny office together for 6 months where we, started everything from the ground up. How much is it going to cost? What are we going to include? What equipment are we going to invest in? Like every little detail that you wouldn't think of is what we had to kind of plan through. And then along with that, after creating the spaces, then it was like, okay, Jessie, now you're going to be in a co-working space. You're going to have a bunch of adults that have their own businesses, and you're going to have to figure out ways to make them hang out with each other and
Sure.
share their business. So of course my first thought is like, let's get alcohol involved because everybody gets out of their shell a little bit. You have a drink and you kind of let loose and you don't get as nervous about networking. Mm-hmm. Cause it's hard to kind of repeat yourself and kind of sell yourself, especially in a setting where you don't necessarily have to. So that's when we kind of developed our program where we make sure we get the members together twice a month. Whether that's a happy hour or breakfast or lunch. And it used to be a little bit more formal in the beginning where we made everybody introduce themselves, go around, say what their business was. Yeah. And, give them almost like a guidebook on how to get it going. And then what happened from there really is then we kind of got a core group of members that then became friends and then they became inviting. So then it was they almost made my job easier in the way of hey, we meet every day at 4:00 at the bar and have a cocktail. And I don't know, it honestly happens organically. And I know that as a member. Yeah. It's really cool how our group has kind of become like a family. And I don't know, I think Jim and I really naturally are like that because we enjoy it so much. We enjoy each other so much. So it almost kind of creates that family dynamic. I guess naturally, right?
Well, I think when you're developing a sense of belonging and community, that helps with retention. A lot of people with membership-based business or people who are on some kind of service, if there's nothing holding them there, then there's not as much loyalty. Right. And some people don't know about co-working options as a way to have an office space or to grow and to collaborate. But from the conversations that I had around Sandoz or around the kitchen up in the second floor, it's the community that really holds people there. So. Yeah.
No, and I think that's so true. And I know that that's something that him and I are really proud of is making people feel welcome. And genuinely meaning it, you know, like, of course they know all my children, but we know all their children too. We know their spouses if they brought them in. And I think that Loveland still is that small town vibe where it really fits that, you know, and not to mention co-working is way more, like, I don't know, engaging obviously than sitting in your basement or in your home office. So
awesome. We did, through the magic of editing, we just did a diaper change,
That's
Jessie.
right.
So let's get, being a mom of 3 and running a family and running a business, a lot of entrepreneurs who are parents often struggle with that balance. How do you make it work so seamlessly?
Seamlessly, huh? Honestly, first of all, being an event planner is weird hours. It's weekends, you know, it's kind of you have to be flexible with your schedule with that. So I've been able to, you know, maneuver my schedule around events, and my husband has like a 9-to-5 job. So that really helps. But it's not easy. And I feel like my staff always tells me, like, Jessie, you'd never know that you're so stressed. And I'm like, that's great. I'm glad. But maybe that's part of, like, because of events, because, you know, if there's a fire in the kitchen at a event, right? Like, my job is to make sure that nobody knows that that's happening.
Right.
So, like, maybe that, you know, having to put things in perspective like that, maybe I'm doing that with my life. You know, like, there's, like, maybe, you know, I maybe only got an hour's sleep, like, yesterday, huh? And I'm having to, like, do that naturally, maybe? I don't know. It's hard, though. I certainly always wanted to be a mom. Always.
Sure.
But, you know, when you choose what your career is, you're not like, okay, in 10 years... this is how I'm going to be able to balance it all.
Right.
So I think I'm just flying by the seat of my pants at all times. But I'm really thankful because I love what I do. I have a really good support system with my staff. My husband's very supportive. Our family's supportive. Jim, you know, is like my partner in crime at Desk Chair, and we're a really, really good team. And it's, you know, it's a friendship outside of, you know, work life. So it's really, I think I'm blessed in that way.
Yeah.
And you just have to give yourself grace. You know, there's days when it's hard and you just kind of have to, like, take a deep breath and be like, it's okay. Like, it's just a job, you know, or it's life. I don't know. I guess that's truly it.
You know, entrepreneurs, there's a lot of passion in whether you're a plumber or an event planner, and you always find out, like, what gets you up and work so hard. And well, a lot of it is family situations, be able to make sure that they have a phenomenal life, and if all you're doing is working and not taking care of family, that doesn't work. But let's talk about Loveland, because as Loveland's a really awesome community, and being downtown right off 4th Street in Cleveland, there's a lot of what happens in Loveland that's happening right at your venue. So are people finding you, or do you do a lot of prospecting for business, or how does that work?
Yeah. So I would say the first couple of years that we opened, we partnered with anybody and everyone that we could. So, you know, we hosted a lot of chamber events. We did a lot with the downtown partnership. That's when it was really starting to ramp up and, like, kind of grow the community that they have downtown with all the small businesses down there. Truly any kind of networking group that we could be a part of. I mean, we kind of did it all. And then I think from there it was like word of mouth, like, hey, we had this really awesome event here. You're looking for a space. Great. Like, this is the one we'd recommend. I also think, like, not to sound bad about it, but, like, there isn't a lot of options in Loveland. So, you know, venue wise, but it also helps that we have over 150 businesses that are co-working in our space. So that alone, you know, they're helping us with, like, the amount of events that we have, because they're all booking events. If not an event, a meeting, or some kind of corporate training, or maybe they, like, are somebody that, what's the word I'm looking for? Remote works. And so, like, their boss is coming in from Austin and they need to give them a conference room where they can work together all day, you know? So I think that really kind of helps the cause. Also, like, Loveland is all about the community. Like, truly, it really is one of those really cool environments where most of the businesses, know each other, and we really are able to like kind of help each other out in the way of like, oh, you need a good florist, or you need a good caterer, or you need somebody that does really good printing, or, SEO or whatever.
Yeah.
If we don't have those in our building alone,
right.
like we all have at least met somebody that can do that. And I feel like that community is really cool. And you'd hear Jim say, he always says that we're like the hub of Loveland.
Yeah.
And I believe that, I really think that we kind of house a lot of really cool businesses, and that is a little bit of luck. But again, I don't know.
No,
It's just cool.
if you put yourself in an environment where people who are community minded, especially if you're in a networking sense, you don't just want to network with people who are great at what they do. You also want to network with people who are great at what they do and want to be collaborative.
Right.
And I think people find them way in a co-working situation is, that's a rich target market.
Totally.
So you talked about if the fire's happening, I don't want the people to know about it.
Yeah.
And part of it could be you putting on great events, but really it's you having great communication, right? With all the different teams before the event, after the event. For any business, communication is a really part of success. What do you do to make sure that your communication is top notch?
Yeah. I would say I'm a little bit of an over communicator. I take a lot of notes, and not like I do it in a traditional way. If you saw the amount of sticky notes that I have of like making sure I'm making checklists, and I'm like, okay, I've talked to every single one of these vendors. I've had my first introduction. I've had my middle of the event check-in, like we're leading up to it. I've had the one a week prior, and then I usually do one like one day before as well. I would say that specifically in the event industry, I can't tell you how many people like aren't good communicators.
Sure.
And so you almost like, as the person that's like, kind of in charge of everybody logistically, it's like you have to be that person that's like on top of them. Like, I know maybe I'm being annoying at this point, but I want this to be perfect. And if I'm not checking in with you, like we both can't make this client happy, And I'm I'm pretty laid back person. So it's not like I'm over the top about it. It's just,
Sure.
I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And that they know too that I'm there to support them. And like, I can't tell you how many times that a caterer or a busser or somebody didn't show up and I grabbed a tray and just jumped in. And I don't know, I think you just kind of have to do those things to make sure that, the client doesn't feel it.
Yeah. Well, Jessie, thanks for what you do for the Desk Chair Magic, for hosting my events. I know the luminaries love being in the Cleveland room. And then also the Daddy-Daughter Dollop, which was a, kind of out-of-the-box idea that you guys made it so seamless to pull off.
Yeah.
For those who want to maybe experience a day pass at Desk Chair or talk to you about their next event, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah. So you can go to the Desk Chair Workspace website. So it's literally deskchairworkspace.com. And then there's like a info sheet that you can fill out, or you can also give us a call and just Google us and we'll answer, me or Jim.
All right. Well, Jessie, thanks so much for coming on the show and bringing in our first multi-panel guest on there.
Thank you for being patient with us.
All right. Thank you. Hey all, thanks for watching. I love networking and building relationships with other Northern Colorado business leaders. So if you want to come meet some of these podcast guests, meet me, or meet some other amazing entrepreneurs in Northern Colorado, I would love to have you attend one of our next events. Go in the podcast description. There's a ways that you can see our upcoming schedule, and maybe you could be a future podcast guest as well. Thanks.